and mix it up. Don't be predictable.
Exactly.
Keep everyone guessing.
Exactly.
Okay, good morning. I'm hoping you can all hear me. Dan Parker from Nizio here, Chief Commercial Officer of STEM. I've got the delight of walking you through the first session. I hope you all enjoyed last night. And thanks again to Next and Dario for putting on such an informative and fun event. It's great to be here. We've got another great session this morning. We're going to talk about how to use insights and data to leverage and improve customer experience. And maybe let's do a quick round of introductions just to refresh our audience who may be a little bit jaded after last night. So Haider, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, I can start. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us here, Dario and the team. My name is Haider. I founded a company 12 years ago, and I've been in pharma ever since to transform commercial operation from within. You have see me in a couple of pharma companies trying to make sales, basically, through emerging tech and channels. That's what I do.
Brilliant, thank you.
Hey everyone, good morning, and thanks for joining this morning after what was kind of a great party here yesterday evening. My name is Chetak Buaria. I head commercial operations for Merck's Oncology business, and what I'm the most passionate for is how to connect strategies with execution, and looking forward to share some of the learnings along the way through the discussion that we'll have.
Thank you.
I'm Vitalini. I'm working for Amgen in a role as Global Medical Digital Strategy Lead.
And Adam Boucher from STEM Healthcare. I look after innovation and product development.
Thank you. Okay, so I think it's maybe time to change gears somewhat. And if I think back to all the great presentations and discussions yesterday, I think we're all in agreement that customer experience is a huge focus, and it's essential to going forwards for all of us as an industry. I think we also all agree that we have more access to data and insights now as an industry than ever before. And frankly, it's quite overwhelming. There's a huge amount coming to us and to our customers. And I think we all agree that Gen AI and other tools are definitely part of the solution, but they're not the only part. There's more to look at across the board. And we also all know and we all acknowledge that we're not where we want to be with customer experience. And we certainly know that we need to go further forwards on that journey. And to drive that forwards. So to steal from my colleagues from Dynamic yesterday, from Leonardo da Vinci, knowing is not enough, we must apply. Being willing is not enough, we must do. So first question to my panel, and maybe Emma, I'll go to you first if that's okay. Just to put you on the spot.
I know.
What are you and your teams doing to accelerate this journey towards world-class customer experience? And what are the things still holding us back or that are missing from that journey?
There are many. And I guess that, I speak from my experience and my perspective, not necessarily that of my company, but I think a lot of it is behavior, and a lot of it is, and I've been also myself, as we, see an opportunity and take it in either a country or a smaller region, and we, embed and build something great. But then when you look from a global perspective, it's very difficult because we can't actually centralize and bring all of the learnings in. So there's kind of a behavior component of wanting and doing great things, but then it's not scalable and you're not able to realize the full potential. And then others is, people just not understanding. We have great scientists. I'm in the medical group, so, we have people that are really interested in data, but interested in clinical data. So when you start to ask them, okay, let's look at digital behavior, let's look at social behavior, let's look at things like this, they just turn off and they're not interested. So you also need to bring other people into the organization and have potentially business analysts, have people with a finance background or other perspectives in order to enrich and create that in the organization.
Okay.
Maybe I can build on that, what Emma just said. For me, the starting point is to fix the basics first. Understanding the customer, understanding the preferences, and what are the real need. And for that, we need to spend time with them, listen to them. So those are a couple of basic things that needs to be fixed first. And then how you rise above your obsession with delivering content, which is quite often the whole and soul of reason for existence of marketing team. But that's not the point. The point is what is the customer journey that you want to take your customer on, and content is just mean to that end that you want to realize. So these are, like, for me, a couple of basics. Having said that, as an industry, I feel, and thanks to the discussion that I was having this morning, Chiara, it's for you, that we as an industry have been really spoiled because you look around as an industry, every company generally has a very healthy profit margins. Our drugs used to sell just by themselves, and we were talking yesterday over dinner about quite healthy budget and marketing spend, OPEX, that typically you have, and you realize it much more when those of you who came from the other industry, that here there is a bit of an excess, and that spoiled us, I believe, moved our focus away from driving for customer centricity and really focusing on customer experience. That is changing. The reason that is changing is, I think, a couple of slides that were presented yesterday around the double whammy that industry is facing, R&D productivity going down, the billions of dollars required to churn the new drug, but against that, your peak sales are only coming downwards. So there is a huge crunch that is getting realized, and then customers are quite fickle. Their loyalty is getting more and more fickle, and we can talk about consumerization of healthcare, but these are some of the trends which then leading us to realize that there is much more beyond the drug and the pill that we sell, how you drive that holistic experience through that drug, and what could be the around-the-pill opportunity as well. But let me see if other panelists would like to add a different perspective to that.
I'm going to look at Dario real talk here. We can hit the ground with reality here. Who in the room is looking every day at Google Analytics as a report? Can you just show of hands? Who is seriously looking at those crappy reports from Google Analytics? Right? No one. It sucks. It comes back to your point, right? No one wants to do it. This is where maybe you will have some intelligence chewing up some executive summary for you. Now I'm going to ask you a second question that shows up if you are in the business of making money with tech in healthcare. Who is monitoring cost per acquisition of your HCPs coming from multi-channel? Show of hands. CPA. Lifetime value? Okay, so you see? So we are all talking about transformation and everything. We are all trying to mimic the big tech player. And I have a VC on the side, right? The first thing that we ask a startup is show us your growth engine, CPA, LTV, right? The cost of growing, the cost of growth. And we don't calculate it in multi-channel in pharma, which is surprising. So I think we have an issue that is bigger, that we try to use the culture of R&D, big investment, 20 years lifespan, in high-velocity, hyper-operational channels, right? And this is what we need to break. I'm going to give you a framework that I keep in mind for when we try to operationalize and bring value, right? When it comes to data and insight, we say you need to have a touch point that works well, the capture of the data. So if this is not optimized, you cannot iterate it, your program will suck. You have to get the data, transport it, making it compliant, having clear business rules around your data. Are you a data processor, data owner, that kind of thing. Then you need to generate insights, right? So we came back to my example. It's very difficult to bring those insights up. And then you need to make decisions, which is, a 3-month steering committee lifespan, usually, right? Which is a reality of this industry, right? So this is the heart of the issue on multi-channel, is that you have high-velocity channel, hyper-operational, when you need to crunch data and do the change of 20 padding pixel of a button somewhere to optimize the conversion rate. And no one wants to do it because we want to be great leaders, right? This is the reality. So guess what? Digital, and I'm a pure product of digital, right, for 25 years, is a highly operational field. And my point is quantity in this game is quality. That's the reverse. Quantity becomes your quality because you have the data to say, we show up 1 million data points per day, we know better than you, right? Right? And I'm not saying this because we were competing at Ferring, because Ferring and Merck, we have kind of a history. But yeah, you understand my point. So this is where I think we have to make it simpler by keeping those principles and just doing what the other guys are doing, which is, structuring those, I would say, milestones. Are we in the decision-making process around the data? What type of data and insight I need to scale, break, kill, that kind of thing.
So more isn't better, and we need to have a process in driving. Do you have any examples? I know you've worked, we were talking earlier this morning, around some of the work you've been doing. Do you have any examples where you've seen some of those things either already in process or happening or successful within this industry?
So I've seen it when it's not working, right? More, so I'll give the counter example, where we keep investing year to year on projects that are like zombie projects and make no sense from a business standpoint. I'll give a KPI, scientific share of voice. I don't know if you guys monitor if you are in medical affairs. Usually it's something that pleases a lot of, doctors. They say, my paper is seen by everyone. But scientific share of voice is barely monitored, right? If you look at, I'll take another KPI where it's poorly managed. You all have kind of a Viva, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics. Yeah, you have a CRM, right? Do you have a scoring system on your CRM? The scoring system will, if you do it well, will attribute a campaign and a channel to the conversion point on the touch point, right? And this is where we don't take that type of last mile, and that's what it is not working. Where it is working, usually, when I've seen it work, is when you see the internal engagement of the team, right? Usually it's a people metric more than a tech metric. So when you start to see people actually being geeky about their topic, they say, oh, show me how many people came to the webinar. That's a good start, right? So that's where I see traction internally.
Indeed, and just to challenge you and also to share with the audience here, it's also time for us to rise above share of voice to talk about share of mind, because that's where you really understand the insights. We all are the traditional product of share of voice. It used to be in a classical primary care setting. Now it moves into the digital. It's all the clutter and noise out there. What is making a difference to the customer, and how you capture that insight and translate into the actions that will hopefully change the behavior.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, to build on both of them, so operationally, yes, you have to be geeky, you have to be interested. So I think, timing is really important. I don't know if you ever tried to sell things on Facebook Marketplace or anything, but Sunday morning is really good because people are always on their phone looking while they're having a cup of coffee. So actually appreciating that on a engagement perspective really helps. So understanding when a cardiologist engaging with things versus when an oncologist doing it, it's very different. Or, how are people joining? When are they joining? How long are they staying? If I give them this, if I analyze that, actually they really watch the first 5 seconds or first minute of a presentation and then go straight to the conclusions. Well, can I give them that information in another way? So you do need to be operational. You need to look at the details and really get into understanding. But I think, it is also about measuring the actual impact. So you just said it's about that share of mind. Well, if I, make some tweaks and I see that people join for longer or watch something, but is actually anything happening after that? So you have to look at also, what do I want to measure? What's that patient impact or behavior change that I've actually delivered as a result of doing this?
And Adam, I know you obviously have a view on the world from the data that we see. What would you say?
So maybe a different approach is, we talked a lot yesterday about the importance of human-to-human connection as part of all of this. And I think that whilst across the industry great strides are being made with regards to online activity and understanding customer behavior through omnichannel and so on, but I think it's very underrepresented with regards to how your person-to-person interactions are impacting customer experience. Yeah. So, for example, whether it's a rep visit or an MSL interaction, most companies really are only covering, a small amount of either like NPS or more general kind of KPIs around, the corporate reputation, voice of the customer, and so on. But no one's really digging deeper into asking that physician, well, how valuable was this interaction? And specifically, what was the thing that was of most value? What were the things, the real key takeaways, or the key topics that were discussed which were relevant to you? What would you like for the next visit? How can these be improved in the future? So we've been quite close to this over the last 12 months or so. We've done a lot of work on this. And whilst I think it's fair to say that there's huge degrees of variability with regards to the feedback based on geography or therapeutic specialty and so on, there are some overarching kind of common themes. So the first of those is actually doctors want good experiences, and they're very receptive to have that kind of immediate feedback directly after the interaction and to provide that feedback. The second big insight, and I think this is irrespective of geography or therapy area, is that what doctors tell us they value is actually quite different to what MSLs or reps say that they think the doctor values. And so there is this kind of disconnect between opinions and perceptions, and we know that perceptions drive behavior. So if I, as an MSL or a representative, have a view that I think the doctor's going to find this particular topic really valuable, I will over-index on that topic and maybe underplay something which actually they said was going to be really important to them. So I think there's a lot to be learned from a customer experience perspective. If you understand what customers really find valuable, then you can make sure that all of your interactions are much more attuned to their needs and therefore improve customer experience that way in terms of face-to-face meetings and so on.
Okay. So I think that there's some, again, as with a lot of the discussions, some common themes here around, I think, Haider, to your point around more isn't better. We need to focus in on how we're doing it, where we should be focusing our time to improve that interaction. And I think the experience within the industry is very much the same around this change management that's still required to go through. And to Adam's point, we're certainly seeing that we don't necessarily understand our customers as much as we think we do, or maybe some of the value they put on certain areas. So maybe just to pull back slightly to what are we going to do about it? If we go back to the action point, maybe a question back to the audience, to the panel. What do you think the one thing, and I say the one thing because I'm also looking at the clock over here, that's going to make the biggest difference in moving us forward on that journey and progressing towards customer excellence? And Haider, maybe I'll start with you if that's okay this time.
Yeah, trying to stay focus on one idea.
One thing.
Yeah, one thing. I think as companies, we need to have principles by design, right? When you develop something and you ship a product to the market, those experiences that you were referring to are product. Like an HCP portal, in my view, is a product. It should have a P&L. Most of those HCP portal doesn't have a P&L, right? And that's what I will change in every project, is to force a project charter to be looking like a product. It's just a tech product that is going to serve a medical team, a product team, a commercial team. And thinking like this, you will open up thinking, are we going to ship this internally? Or do we externalize? Do we find partners to help us do that? Or do we even acquire the best-in-class HCP portal in my example? Yeah. And if you shift this mindset, I think you start moving in the right direction.
Okay, so put accountability on everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Interesting. And Chetak?
Yeah, for me, I remember the quote which goes something like, it requires a community to raise a child. Similarly, it requires organizations' belief to drive good customer experience. We talk about, for example, Amazon as at least a best-in-class example of a company that truly believes customer centricity at its core of business strategy. And it flows right from top to the lowest level, and how you kind of drive that culture change and make customer experience as a priority for the organization, because the point for customers is there are different functions within the organization interfacing with the customer. And unless each one is wired in the same manner to really drive towards that North Star, it will be difficult to realize that experience.
I think really, ultimately, we're never going to get to good customer experience unless we're going to stop looking at ourselves and our objectives. It was mentioned yesterday that really we have to build things that fit into the workflow of the healthcare professional or the person, and everything we do is actually adding complexity into the system. So I think we need to find ways that as a whole sort of community, we have to come together better and find ways that we can either build a platform or something that allows different companies to plug and play. So it's maybe it's third parties that enable this, but there has to be somebody that is driven to do it. I don't think that it's going to happen organically on its own. I think we need kind of a industry consortium to come together. But unless we start to look at the customer experience from the customer's side, and rather than our own objectives, we're only going to give them the best that we give them on our own, and not that whole experience.
I love that. I mean, personally, I'm always focused on the value for the customer, and I think it's very dangerous when you look internally consistently. I can make myself better, but that doesn't make my experience with all of you any different. Adam, what are your thoughts? Again, one thing.
One thing. So I think I'll make a sweeping generalization, and I know this is a bit provocative as a statement, but pharma in general is not good at account management. There are many reasons for that, and systems in place which inhibit the free-flowing of information. I think Pam from Takeda touched on this yesterday. So if you have great data and these wonderful customer experience insights, of course that's hugely valuable, but you can get exponentially more bang for your buck if you have the right systems and processes that are built around optimizing the sharing of those insights across functions, across brands, across divisions, and so on. So I think if companies can invest equally into reducing, I guess, the barriers between teams, producing systems which allow the much more kind of free flow of information and really capitalizing on those customer experience insights, then I think they can make huge progress.
And how do you think, we have a couple of minutes, maybe just to close out on this theme, how do you think we should do that as an industry? Because breaking silos, again, I think came up a number of times yesterday.
Is that for me, or?
Well, I'm looking at you to start with, but maybe just since you started the point, just where have you seen some best practices that maybe the audience can take away?
So I think it can start at a very local level, and just having a kind of one strategy which is integrated across teams, that everyone is behind, and getting teams together to actually talk on a local level within this particular account. What is it we're trying to do? What by function, and how we're going to do that, and having good clarity about people's roles, responsibilities, and how they pull that through. I think when we see companies that have really got a good handle on this, they're absolutely aligned with regards to that one strategy approach.
Okay, and maybe for the rest of the panel as a close for the session, we talked about one thing that might change, but is there one thing that you would recommend to the audience to start with? And Chetak, maybe if I go to you on this one.
Yeah, for me, again, go to the basic customer experience. Experience is connected to human beings. There's a human being on the other side. Yeah. And it's important to realize that as much as data, technology, and everything will enable, there's a human being on the other side. And for me, the point that Hisham was making around empathy, to understand the pain points and have the empathy to see how can we address some of those pain points to reduce the burden, either for the physician or for the patient or for the both. And that's for me the key thing, that realization of empathy.
Okay, and Emma?
I think to your point, it's that continuous conversation, enabling people to see how you're actually prolonging the engagement and the discussion by using technology after you've had the face-to-face interaction, and not thinking of them as two different entities.
And Haider, maybe final thoughts?
Yeah.
So I would say adopt what you already have in-house instead of always looking for the magic bullet. Scale, like get real number. So data and quantity is key. Make the tech transparent, so don't talk about platforms. And I would say, yeah, as you said, it's about people. So usually people are the problem, but they fortunately the solution as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Brilliant, thank you. And I think we've hit time, so thanks to the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you to the audience.
Do they have a question?
Do you have time for a question, Diri?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you're not running away.
You did promise a question, in fairness.
Really? No, it's more of a comment and observation, maybe asking for your perspective on a few things. So the first point, when we're saying that MSLs, they come with a different request from doctors and sales reps. I just want to say, I was a doctor once, visited by MSLs and sales reps. We are smart. We know what to ask from each, because then we get double the things, So we know if we're visited by a sales rep, I would focus on one thing versus what I would focus on from the MSL, etc. So this comes back to what we were discussing, how important it is that we share the insights and we appear as one customer in front of the physician, because they end up having something from global, from region, from local, from the CEO, from the sales rep, and they maximize on that. So that's one thing. The other thing that I'm really interested in is we talk a lot about the customer experience. I have to say we tarnished our customer experience throughout history. If you look at the movies they do on pharma, we're always the devils. We're always the ones who pay money. We are always the ones who are trying to cheat our way through and influence doctors. And the media has portrayed that a lot. I mean, my dad still thinks I have the treatment for cancer hidden in my closet, and I'm just not giving it away because we want to make money. So I didn't see anyone kind of address the point of how do we reposition ourselves and not be like the next Amazon or Apple. So a small thing here, sorry, it's a very long question. But if you look at Apple and Amazon, they're selling you things that you could survive without. Like if you don't have an iPhone, you're not gonna die tomorrow. But when you look at pharma, I'm not the next Apple. I'm providing the physician with something that he will be so proud of himself when he tells his patient, I healed you. So he didn't heal him just by doing abracadabra, he healed him by using a pharmaceutical product. And we always come and, we try to be inferior and I want you to be happy. But is it time that we really leverage ourselves to be visible as the partners and share that experience both ways? So we give you a good experience, but at the same time, you need to help us with our reputation. And maybe our customer is beyond the HCP, it's also the wider audience or the country in general, the people, those that are watching the TV and still think of us as a tobacco industry. So I know I threw a lot of points here, but I'm really interested in what you take out of all the rumbling that I did.
There's a lot there to unpack.
So I can give you a start of a no, it's more philosophical what you're asking here, right? So it's more of a philosophy debate. I will say I've been super proud of some of the medical colleagues I've seen in pharma, and I've been on the ground pushing products, not as a sales rep, but product trained to talk about product. Some of the doctors that, I don't know if this is similar for your companies, they already knew about the quality of the science because they've seen the papers. And they basically respect each other, basically compared, one company to the other in terms of the amount of patients you have put in terms of the studies and so on, and the quality of the endpoints. So it's an industry where you have the B2B kind of relationship, the account-based relationship, where on symposiums and everyone knows each other, and then you have the largest media. Is it a place of pharma to be friends on Facebook with patients? No, I don't think so. I think this is where we fool ourselves to be liked to places where we shouldn't be, right? So this is where there are other bodies that needs to get that relationship of the last mile. I think that's the first point. I would say we shouldn't be trying to be someone we are not. And drug discovery and research is already a challenge. On the customer experience, I think you have a point, because we don't create delightful experiences. It's the experiences that we create are kind of,
transactional.
Yeah, it's not really exciting. And I think I think you put your fingers on something that is quite interesting. The experience of an MSL, filling data on OCE and Viva, it sucks. It's not good. It's boring. That's why you end up seeing people doing it on Sunday night, because their boss looks at the report on Monday. It sucks. So is tech going to listen to the conversation, prepare a summary, and ask the MSL to validate the summary, to upload it in the CRM? Yes, that will be better as an experience. But that starts with our own employees. The employee experience, we talk about customer experience, the employee experience sucks big time. And that should be, I think, the first beginning. I don't know if that's just a...
Sure.
I think, to your point on the reputation, absolutely. And I think that there are ways we manage to do it well. So when it's rare disease or small groups, and we can build that close relationship with the healthcare professionals. And in those cases, we do sometimes have those healthcare professionals, vying or kind of lobbying for access for expansion for labels or other things. But I think it's really rare. And I think it starts with investment in those beyond the molecule activities and creating a community. But I think it's really challenging. We talked about the compression of cost and actually budgets and having to make tough decisions. And those are the things that often get cut, but they're actually the things that actually will help you go further and change that view of pharma in the long run.
Yeah, just to conclude on the positive note, I mean, as we say, there is a thin line between being proud and being arrogant. We should be proud for working for an industry which is making it possible for all of us to be sitting here together because of COVID vaccine and everything that happened in the pandemic. So we bring huge value to the humanity. At the same time, that makes us responsible. We need to act responsibility. We need to look towards that humanity with respect and in our conduct be much more sustainable and responsible, I would say. That's what will shape the perception of the media, public, etc. at large.
I think that's a great way to end that. Authenticity is important. Do we have time for another question? Unfortunately, I think we're finished. Dario's giving me the signal, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great discussion.